I'm Matt.
I'm Shane, and you are about to listen to an excerpt from a Comic Movie Marks podcast.
So if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that like button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks. And always remember,
if trailer trash can do it,
anyone can do it. So now we're going to move on to some other bigger news going on in the world of studios and bullshit.
So some of the bigger news, as Matt was saying, Time Warner may sell Warner Brothers and DC if the AT&T merger fails. Now, we're going to do the best we can to kind of summarize this because there's a lot of nonsense basically thrown out there. And if this happens or if this does not happen, the article we're reading this from is via Screen Rant. So basically, even though obviously there's a lot of speculation and stuff going on within the DC world, you know, in the DC bubble, as Screen Rant puts it, it seems like there's a bigger problem heading its way as it could be potentially auctioned off to a new owner if the Time Warner and AT&T merger collapses. So, citing a source, quote, that has, that has personal knowledge, take it with a grain of salt, that has personal knowledge of the situation. The Wrap reports that if the long-delayed Time Warner and AT&T deal doesn't ultimately go anywhere, Time Warner would likely be broken up into parts and sold separately as Warner Brothers, HBO, and Turner. While DC Entertainment wasn't specifically named as a possible individual asset to be auctioned off, operating under Warner Brothers since 1970 more than likely means that it will go wherever the film studio goes. No shit. The massive merger was first announced back in 2016 for a whopping $85 billion. Since it involves consolidation of several assets spread across various industries, this buyout house has been heavily scrutinized by U.S. federal regulators who aims to ensure that it won't result in a monopoly of a certain services and products. Originally, it seemed like the sale didn't possess any huge issues that could stop the sale from happening, but as years went by, the process continues to be delayed until the Department of Justice filed an antitrust case to block the deal in November. That said, AT&T remains positive that they could close out the agreement. And then at one point, Apple was reported interested in scooping Time Warner. However, that quickly went south when the Cupertino-based company denied that they have had any intentions of taking over. But it would be interesting to see if they'll be back on board, if a deal would only involve WB, DC, and or HBO, especially when they're all starting to branch out in other forms of media services, including their very own streaming services. The additional IPs that WB currently owns would definitely add to their content they're putting on the platform and can lure more patrons on it. So a lot of stuff that's up in the air, you know, and that kind of makes you wonder the future, I guess, of the studios themselves, and obviously the U.S. Federal regulators. They're trying to make sure that there's not a monopoly in every avenue. We're also going to get into more Disney Fox news as well that kind of tie into this. But every company is trying to figure out how do we play catch up and have our own streaming service. And obviously the world is changing, similar to how music was and still kind of is. We have all these different avenues. People have control of the content, but who ultimately
it's just distribution rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And other companies trying to merge together, so that they're not basically folding and, having to lay off a shit ton of people. They're trying to figure out, okay, how can we become big conglomerates, and swoop up different companies that maybe do similar things, the AT&T DirecTV merger that happened. So everyone's just kind of trying to come together and figure out, okay, how do we attack the streaming service and the rights and how we're distributing everything.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting how this all goes down. Again, antitrust laws, we'll see what happens. A lot of the times when these companies get denied on antitrust, we always get this nice little burst of, ingenuity. People actually start trying.
Right, yeah, no shit.
Remember T-Mobile was supposed to be bought out a while back by AT&T. They kiboshed that whole thing, and T-Mobile came back, and now they're actually a competitor again.
Right, yeah.
Sprint's actually got their head out of their ass a little bit, and they're kind of a competitor now. We actually got like 4 instead of being all the way down to 2.
Right.
So hopefully this will help, depending on where it goes. I don't know. I mean, apparently these motherfuckers must know something we don't. Everybody's bailing out of they're just trying to sell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's always mergers going on every freaking moment, and that's why there really is only 4 big studios at this point. because basically all those studios own all the little studios below them. You know, New Line Cinema, Lionsgate, all those motherfuckers are owned by a certain group of people. You know, all these distribution platforms like Hulu and stuff is all connected to these big studios. You know, Disney owns a certain percentage, Fox owns a certain percentage, Time Warner owns a certain percentage, Comcast owns a certain percentage of Hulu, just like Fandango and all these other, they're all tied together and they're all like sharing this big pie.
Yeah.
But now it seems like they want to make their pie slice bigger. And that kind of goes into the Comcast deal, or the Comcast / Fox and Disney deal. You know, so now Comcast is possibly coming in there.
Yeah, so kind of, as Matt was saying, just looping in with a different article, that the Disney and Fox deal could be impacted by Comcast buying Sky. So as Matt was saying, all these different studios or broadcasting companies own different pieces of the pie, and so Sky is just basically this huge British broadcasting channel. Yeah,
BBC, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid.
This big black cock.
BBC, yeah, exactly. Black Hawk Down.
Oh, it's a penis.
I don't know.
A penis. It's a big dick. Those are balls. It's a big black dick. It's drawing black. It's a big black dick. It's a big black cock. Black cock down.
So yeah, if you've never heard of Sky before, I'm sure at this point, if you watch any sort of sport, they
watch rugby.
Yeah, well, they own the rights for the NFL.
Yeah.
That's distributed.
That's how I'm able to watch some NFL games on.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. They do UFC.
Pip, he's got the ball. He's going up the pitch.
I believe they do
the 40.
They
to
do
the 30.
That's a horrible English accent.
I fucking got a goddamn lozenge in my mouth. All right.
Okay, excuses. But they, I
thought you were gonna say that's not the only thing.
Oh, damn it! You set me up, and I failed. I believe they do UFC. I know they also distribute the WWE. They're just a huge channel. And they're currently owned, a percentage of it, they're owned by Fox, but Comcast has offered $31 billion for the 61% of the Sky that is not of Sky, not of the Sky, of Sky that is not currently owned by Fox. So basically buying up the rest of it. That's a significant reason for the large acquisition of Fox by Disney outside of the control of other Marvel properties was its international presence through Sky. Fox had previously made overtures to take complete control of the satellite broadcaster, most recently in 2016 for $16 billion. Fox had hoped to have completed the Sky buy ahead of the Disney deal. With Comcast nearly doubling the going rate for Sky, Fox is faced with the decision of either significantly increasing its own bid or relenting, forcing a reworking of the Disney deal in the process. The New York Times has detailed the intertwined histories of the companies involved, as Comcast at one point had wanted to buy the assets that Fox is now selling to Disney. Times 2 describes the lengthy and tumultuous history of Fox's attempts at gaining total control of Sky. The Fox phone hacking scandal squashed Fox's initial bid in 2011, and a combination of the sexual misconduct allegations and fear of Rupert Murdoch's company having too much media influence in Britain have caused the 2016 overtures for Sky to be provisionally rejected by the government regulators in January. And then, as I was saying in my horrible terms, Sky currently has a very large footprint in Britain and is in the process of bringing their offerings to both Spain and Switzerland in the near future as a streaming service. So regardless of the eventual owner of Sky, Comcast's bid for the satellite company will force Disney and Fox deal to take a different shape. It is yet to be determined if Comcast or Disney would be okay with being partners in Sky, with Disney taking over Fox's 39% share. Should Disney relinquish the move for Sky, which Disney's Bob Iger recently referred to as a crown jewel of the agreement, so basically meaning that Sky is one of the bigger reasons that they're acquiring this, it will likely free up billions of dollars that can be spent on integrating Fox's properties into the Disney superstructure. Given the money at stake, it can mean the Fox-centric additions to Disney parks in the near future. The increase in cost to acquire Sky will also trickle down to the perceived values of broadcasting other sporting leagues and cause the media rights to those to increase significantly.
So this seems like they're throwing a dildo in the cog work here.
Yeah.
Everybody's already talking about how like, oh, Fantastic Four might be in Infinity Wars and all this other shit and all this.
Oh yeah, confirmed. I'm like, wow.
No. This shit is not going down for a long time. There's going to be a battle of the billionaires here, and some people are going to get shaved. All right. So another obscure wrestling reference for you.
Yes. Let's see who can get that one.
And it's going to go on for a long time. It's going to go on for a long time.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Maybe on some side deal, Fox, if Marvel in general is really pushing to try to get some of these characters into the universe, maybe they can make a side deal at this time, like they did with Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but no, I don't think we're going to see any of these characters for a long time. Fox is going to still continue with their studio and their projects with New Mutants and all those other ones. It's going to be a long time being. Yeah. Plus, you don't know when the government, the antitrust laws and stuff like that are going to come in.
Yeah.
It's going to really alter things, really change things up. I mean, Comcast is throwing their dick around right now because they want some fucking stake in this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They want Fox. They were going to offer more for all of Fox acquisitions, more than Disney offered. Fox ultimately said no because they didn't want to give up that much control to Comcast, but they do to Disney.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. It was like, I don't know. I guess lesser of two evils. I'm not quite sure on that.
I guess, yeah. I skipped this part of the article, but according to the article, Comcast is the biggest cable distributor in the United States. So I don't know about the world, but that was pretty surprising considering, that there's other distributors like DirecTV now owned by AT&T. It's kind of interesting. So Comcast is playing their whole thing on one side of trying to acquire, a portion of Sky and trying to, like you said, throw their dick into the pile or whatever.
Throw their dildo into the cock.
Yeah, exactly. Measuring dicks, as Lois would say. Throw their dildo into the cock. They are trying to, rework some certain things, and so is AT&T with WB. So it's interesting. These companies are understanding that there are rights to each of these properties, and they need to have control of how to distribute it. So it's pretty smart. It's going to be interesting to see. It's kind of funny how the writer, eye rolling funny, how the writers of these articles are jumping so far ahead. And they write the DC one of I skipped this entire top part of the article, but it starts with saying how DC is in this big mess, and we don't know the future of DC, and here's another random part of it is that Warner Brothers could be bought out, and as Matt said, that's probably not for down the line. This is just something that's kind of interesting that, it could be bought out, but it's probably not going to be like the end of this year. They're going to be bought out and all of a sudden they're going to put a kibosh. That's kind of how Screen Rant portrays it.
Yeah.
Same thing with on the other side. They're already jumping with Disney acquiring Fox that they're going to start incorporating those characters into their theme parks. Like, slow the fuck down. Like, we're not even there yet.
Not even close.
Not even close. I think they just built Cars Land or some shit.
After 3 movies, they probably got Cars
exactly.
down.
No, I think I'm way off on that. But it takes a while. It takes a while for shit to happen. I know that they're just now incorporating some sort of Star Wars land, and they've had that for a while. They've pumped out a couple movies. Disney has. So slow the fuck down.
That's in development too. That's still in the early stages. That's not even being built yet.
Oh yeah, the Star Wars land, right?
Yeah.
So it like I'm saying, it's funny how the writers of these articles will jump to whatever their narrative is. The important part is there's some shit going down with rights to movies and studios, and who is ultimately going to gain control of those different things, or will it get blocked? And as Matt said, then we have some other companies kind of rise up and start. Maybe Warner Brothers pulls its head out of its ass when it doesn't get merged, and goes, all right, now we got to start really.
Got to make good movies now, and trusting people and shit.
Yeah, exactly, trusting directors.
Yeah, you should really hope that there's these antitrust laws actually kick in and hopefully they can bosh a lot of this thing. It's the one time I'm rooting for the government. Hopefully it kind of works. Because, I mean, Disney acquiring Fox, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, but it's a really bad idea. Especially because I don't know if I've ever actually said this on the podcast, but I know I've talked to you about it before. But with The Last Jedi, Disney was requesting that they get 65% of the ticket sales. Of the for Last Jedi, and it had to be locked in for 4 weeks.
Right. We did talk about this briefly on the podcast.
I didn't know if I ever said it on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because we were talking about how Disney is basically, talking about dicks. They're whipping their big dick out and saying you're gonna take it and you're gonna like it.
And if they take out one of the major distributors of movies, I mean, they become bigger and they can throw whatever they want around because they're making the majority of the movies. Yeah, especially the blockbuster ones.
Yeah, and why do you think that popcorn prices go up and you're already paying an arm and a leg for that shit anyways? The movie theater is gonna have to get their revenue somehow, and if Disney's taking most of it, then they're gonna go, okay, well, we have to raise ticket prices. We have to. So that we can gain more of that pie, we have to raise the price of popcorn and drinks and even more so that they can somehow gain some of that revenue back. And it's not good. It's not good when like Matt said, they say our movie is going to be in your theater for this long. It's going to take up this many screens and you're going to give us this cut. And if not, then we're not going to give you the rights to be able to show it. You're kind of like, well, fuck, I have to show Star Wars in my theater. And it's mainly the smaller theaters that will feel that pinch, but at the same time, it's you don't want any studio to be able to have that type of control. That just seems ridiculous.
And they also get a majority control then of Hulu because Fox owns a certain part, plus Disney already owns a part, so now they're going to have a majority stake in Hulu. So then they control Hulu. I mean, then they're planning to come out with their own streaming service. Right. So, I mean, they'll be controlling a lot of the what do they cut cord cutting type distribution out there. You need to look at all the aspects of all this shit, go deep into it and really look at this because this shit's real extreme how much they're going to be taking over if this deal goes through. Yeah.
Don't be rooting for it because you're
Wolverine's going to be in the Avengers.
Exactly.
God,
that's so minute. For one, I don't know why you would want that. Why they're finally building, Fox is finally building their own universe and doing such a great job at being different. Why would you want the X-Men to be under the MCU umbrella? But that's such small thinking in comparison to really what this could affect. And, people are, it's like, someone said, I think, who was it? Robert Downey Jr., who said something about like, yeah, that would be fantastic to move up the Avengers release date to now April 27th. Yeah. And I think it was Robert Downey Jr. or someone said like
tweets or whatever.
Yeah.
Not the fake tweets, but
the tweets that
them
were
like Marvel Studios.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that would be fantastic. Confirmed.
I want to see it a week early. Yeah.
Was it Robert Downey? It was someone.
It was Robert Downey Jr.'s Twitter. Yeah. And they're like, oh, that'd be fantastic. Then everyone's like, oh, that's confirmed. Fantastic Four is gonna be like, whoa, slow the fuck down. Like, we're not there yet. So not even close.
Yeah, really understand what this could possibly mean aside from
you might get some references control. If they have like a deal. You may get some mentions of some Fantastic Four, like their tower or whatever the fuck it's called. You might get some mentioning of like maybe
Wolverine or
Xavier's School of Gifted Kids or something like that. You may get brief glimpses of that. Maybe they'll bring in villains. Maybe you'll hear like Dr. Doom's Slakovia or whatever the fuck it's called. I can't.
Right.
I always forget.
Yeah, but like you said, that would have to be a minor small deal of like, you can utilize this.
Like it did in Age of Ultron, that shitty Easter egg for Wakanda.
Right.
Where Mark Ruffalo's like, Wakanda?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do some shit like that for, something like that.
Yeah, possibly.
The Baxter Building. The Baxter Building. That's what it's called.
Holy shit.
The Baxter Building. God damn, I couldn't
pulled that out. Nice.
I couldn't remember what the fucking name was. Okay.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.